Hi guys, it's Kino and welcome to my personal channel. For those of you who are new here, hello. This is my non-tarot channel, basically where I can share anything that is not a reading. Up until now, I have been posting a few travel vlogs, like trips that I've gone on in Japan, but recently this channel hit 1,000 subscribers, which I'm very grateful for. I made a community post asking what kind of stuff you would like to see, because this channel can really be anything. So I kind of wanted to combine a few of the suggestions that I got in today's video. So that is mukbang and food and spiritual chat, talking a bit about my spiritual journey and just sitting down with you guys and having a spiritual chat. I'm hoping that this channel can be a place where we connect a bit on a different level. I think like your face and your expression, it's so important for communication and getting a feel of someone, and I feel like I'm less on the spot on this channel. It can feel a bit more relaxed, so I hope that you guys will enjoy this type of content as well. So let me talk about the food that we have today. This is from Kokoichi, which is a popular curry joint in Japan. And I love Japanese curry, and this is one of my favorite places, and I haven't had it in a while, so I thought this was a good opportunity. They have all different varieties of curry. I think they have beef curry, pork curry, and veggie, which is vegetarian. That's what I got. And you can choose the amount of rice you want, the level of spice you want, and you can choose all different kinds of toppings. I don't know why, I do enjoy spicy food, but when it comes to curry, and especially Japanese curry, I just prefer the mild one, so I don't get any spice. This is the veggie curry. It has mushrooms and carrot in it. I think it has potato as well. And I also got an eggplant topping, and this is like a soy meat patty, and then these are pickles. I also got this topping. This is like slimy okra and yam, and it's very good. I got fries, we have Caesar salad, and then I also have, this is like garlic in spicy oil. It smells really good. And then I also have natto, which is fermented soybeans. I'm like already sweating. You know, it's probably the ring light that makes me sweaty. When I'm filming readings, I'm usually like, oh, I'm sweaty because I'm channeling. It could also just be the light, honestly. Okay, so let's make the natto first. So it comes in these packs. This is a sauce that comes with it. It's called tare. It's like salty. I think it has like bonito flavor or something. And then this is mustard. And as you can see, it is very stringy. It looks like boogers. It definitely took a while for me to get used to the consistency. It's one of those acquired tastes. When I first started eating it, I would like melt it into soup because it dissolves the strings, or I would like cook it into an omelet or something. So let's put the tare and the moutarde. I also put flaxseed oil because I went to the doctor and they said I don't have enough omega-3s. So now we just mix it up, get them snots going. This is one of those foods, every time I eat it, I make like an audible reaction because it's so good. Even when I'm by myself, I'm just, This is one of the toppings that you can get in the curry as well, but I already had my own. The strings make it a bit hard to eat though. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put the okra and yam. I don't know if you're supposed to put it in the curry part or in the rice part, but I'm just following my heart. So as you can see, this is also quite slimy. Oh my god, the curry is so good. Japanese curry, it's quite mellow. It has a sweetness to it. There is a bit of spice. It's not like hot, but I mean, yeah, of course it has spice. It's a curry. It's quite different from Indian curry, for example, or like Thai curry. It's very distinct. Japanese rice is so good as well. It's more on the soft and chewy side. It's not like dry and flaky like some kinds of rice. If you eat this in the restaurant, these pickles will just be like set on the table and you can have as much as you want. So we go crazy with those. I like can't stop eating the pickles. Let's try some eggplant. So this is deep fried eggplant, which has a really nice flavor. At a lot of Italian restaurants in Japan as well, they'll serve like a tomato sauce pasta with this deep fried eggplant, and that's my go-to. I've never had this patty before. I have had like a soy meat croquette from this restaurant. I've never seen this before. More and more these days, Japan has more options for vegetarians and vegans. I'm not vegan, but I love vegan food and it's what I mostly eat. But when I first came to Japan, it was really hard to find vegan options. Like you couldn't find them anywhere. But these days, a lot of places are vegan friendly. You can even go to a burger joint and they'll have a plant-based burger. There's places that have like vegan fried chicken. That's really nice. I feel like it tastes like meat, but I'm not a very good judge of that because I don't eat it. A lot of the times when I'm with a meat eater, I'm like, oh my god, taste this, it's so meaty. And then they try it and they're like, nah, that doesn't taste like meat at all. Okay, I want to try. This smells so freaking good. The garlic with the spicy oil. Wait, this will be really good with rice. I'm so happy right now. To me, it tastes like beef, but to a beef eater, it probably wouldn't. Okay, and then finally, last but not least, I don't know if Caesar salad is a thing or popular where you're from. I don't even know where it comes from. Is it American? Anyway, this tastes different from like the Caesar salad that is in the States and Canada. It's quite parmesan-y. If you like parmesan, you'll probably like it. I'm someone who, my eyes are way bigger than my stomach. I always order too much. And I also ordered a lot today because if you're doing a mukbang and you don't have a lot of food, I feel like it looks more aesthetic, it looks more bountiful if you have a lot. So this is probably gonna last me until tomorrow. Oh, and I also have an almond milk latte with my Kino Temple mug. I'll put a link for these if you guys like them. I use it all the time. Okay, so let's get into the topics. There's a couple things I want to talk about today based on your suggestions. The main one being how I became Kino, what that journey was like, my journey with spirituality, my journey with tarot. And then I also was asked about the soulmates in my life. There's very few people that I've met and been like, holy shit. So, but we'll talk about it. I'm gonna start with where the name Kino came from. So my full name is Carrie Underwood, which is like the American country singer. She won American Idol when I was in grade 4. I was like 9, and I remember my sister's friend like coming into my classroom to tell me that she won, and I was like, yes! I was so excited. And then all of my like 9-year-old classmates were asking me if I was named after her, even though I was already born and already 9 whole years old. It's spelled differently though. The Carrie's like Mariah Carey, C-A-R-E-Y. So anyway, that is my name. And as many of you guys know, I live in Japan. So when I was learning Japanese, I discovered that there is a last name Kinoshita, which ki means tree or wood and shita means under. So this name is like directly could be translated to underwood. It's probably more like under the tree, like, yeah, anyway, it's probably more like that. But I'm like, this name is as close as you'll get to a direct translation of Underwood, and I thought it was really cool that this name with the same meaning existed in Japanese as well. And so I think it's about 5 years ago, my friend group would like all call me Kinoshita. That was like my nickname. No one calls me that anymore because that friend group, we lost a few men along the way, but yeah, that was like my nickname, Kinoshita. And so that's why my Instagram handle is Kinoshita Carrie. It is not my real last name. It's a translation of my last name. And so when I started my tarot channel, I had no idea what to call it, but like Kinoshita was fresh in my mind because it was like already my username on another platform, and so I just shortened it to Kino, and the rest is history. I am not Japanese. Sometimes people ask me if I'm like Japanese or half Japanese, and no, I am Canadian. And just recently I actually met with a viewer of my videos because she lives in Japan. I met with her and her partner, and I believe it was her partner who asked me if I was half Japanese, and I said no. And then he showed me, he like pulled up this blog post or this article about me, and it was like all wrong. It was like all made up stuff. And they were saying that my name is Carrie Kinoshita and I'm half Japanese and half Canadian, and I was born in Tokyo and then I moved to Canada, which is like not true at all. I was born in Canada. It also said that I was born in 1997, which is not true either. So I was like, damn, really? People are on the internet just saying whatever. So I thought I would just clear the air here. I do speak Japanese, but I don't have any Japanese blood. My grandma lived in Hiroshima for a few years, and that is about it. Anyway, so that's where the name Kino comes from, and I actually learned from some of my subscribers later on down the line that in some languages, I believe in Russian, and I know there's some other languages, Kino means like the cinema, so that's kind of funny. I think it sounds cute. It has a cute ring to it. So why I made the tarot channel, I don't know. It was a download. I don't really know, but I felt very called to do it. I guess my first interaction with spirituality was being into astrology. Like a lot of us are, a lot of girls are. Maybe that's a stereotype, but I was interested in astrology, more specifically sun signs. And I don't exactly remember how, but one day I learned about moon signs, you know, that you are not just your sun sign, you also have, well, you have a lot of other things, but I specifically learned like, oh, I'm not just a sun sign, I have a moon sign too. So I remember going on some website and looking up what my moon sign was, and my moon sign is Gemini. And when I read the description of like an Aries sun with a Gemini moon, I was like, wow, I feel like this clicks a lot more. It paints more of you know, like a complex, comprehensive picture of who I am. And then I became really interested in looking up the moon sign of everyone in my life, like my family, my friends, my love interests, the celebrities that I liked. I was just like, it went from obsessively looking up people's moon signs to obsessively looking up people's birth charts. I was that girl. Well, I don't know if it's I was that girl as if this is like an archetype, but I was a person who, when I was like at a party, when I was at the club and like drinking, and like someone comes up and is talking to me, I'd be like, when's your birthday? And they would like tell me, and I would literally be like in the club like looking up their birth chart and then just start like telling them about it. It was an interesting time. So I was very into astrology, but even at this point I did not believe in tarot. Like, I actively didn't believe in it. And you might think that's kind of like a cognitive dissonance, because it's like, how you're going to believe in this one spiritual thing but then think tarot is silly. And my reasoning for it was that the movement of the planets is structured. You know, it's like the passing of the hours, the passing of the months, the changing of the seasons. It's structured, it's cyclical, it's like set in stone. So you just look at what the planets are doing and follow that. And to me, just shuffling a deck of cards and like, oh, whatever comes out, that's your reading. It felt like very random to me. I guess I wasn't thinking about it in the sense of there's a higher power who shows us the right card, who brings us the right message. I didn't think of that, which looking back, it is kind of weird, because like if the planets are in this beautiful, elaborate system and influence us, like, who you think came up with that? there has to be some kind of intelligence. And so if the intelligence can do that, surely it can also lead you to the right tarot cards. Like, anyway, I hadn't really made the connection yet, so I was just sticking to astrology for quite some time. And I started off with tropical astrology, the Western one, where Aries season starts like at the spring equinox. There we go, not solstice. The spring equinox, so like March 21st. It's the one that most, well, actually, I shouldn't generalize because I don't know about other parts of the world, but in the West, I think most people follow the tropical astrology. But then I started learning about Vedic astrology as well, which I believe follows the actual stars, the fixed stars, because, oh God, I'm not going to try to explain this, but the stars are fixed, but where we see them from Earth changes. And so where the start of Aries season once was March 21st, now it is actually like sometime in mid-April, because of how the sky didn't shift, but we shifted, and now it looks like the sky moved. I find Vedic astrology to be a bit more complicated. I feel like there's a lot more aspects to it, like a lot more things to learn. But it made sense to me, and so I became quite interested in it. And I was watching this channel, KRS, I believe, who makes videos about like, what does this placement mean in Vedic astrology? What does it mean if you have this planet here? I was like very into watching those, both for my own placements and my people of interest. And then I guess because I was watching a lot of that kind of content, I was recommended a tarot video. So I guess like a lot of people who watch astrology videos also watch tarot videos, makes sense. So it was one of those like monthly predictions for your zodiac sign. I don't remember what month it was. I don't know, maybe June 2018 or something. And it was like Aries, June 2018, and then it had a little like tagline about what the reading was going to be. And I guess the title resonated with me, with what I was going through, because around that time I was starting to have some weird like psychic experiences, mostly of like telepathy with thoughts, feelings, even smells and tastes. It was getting kind of weird. And I guess something in the title kind of mirrored what I was going through. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I watched it, and I was just blown away. It was like a personal reading. It felt very accurate to my situation. And just the fact that it had seemingly out of nowhere shown up on my recommended, I was like, oh damn, like this is a sign. And very, very shortly after finding that video, I contacted the reader for a private reading. At the time, I was an English teacher, and we worked at like a little, it's called the Eikaiwa, just like a little English school. And it was only a few of us in the staff, so the owner of the school had given us a key. So in the middle of the night, because I was in Japan and I believe she was in the States, if I remember correctly, so when it was daytime in the States and like late night in Japan, I took the key because I had like 5 roommates. I didn't want to bother them, and also I think I was kind of embarrassed. Like I didn't want them to hear the questions I was asking. You know, like I'm telepathically picking up on someone. It's just, it might come off a little strange. So I took the key and I walked to the little English school, and I just like went in there by myself. It's a very vivid memory. You know, it's always weird. I don't know if you've ever been like inside your school at night when everyone's gone home. It's like a kind of surreal feeling. And so I just remember being in that little English school, you know, and talking to this reader on the phone. She was very nice. I think the reading was supposed to be an hour, and it was like maybe an hour and a half. Like it went well over. She's explaining all these spiritual concepts to me because I had no idea. And I got a few readings from her. Looking back, I don't know if they were accurate. I don't know if they were accurate, but I don't think that matters. I think that was just meant to be my awakening to tarot and the thing that made me interested in tarot. And I don't really care if if the reading was accurate or if that reader was good or not. I will admit I kind of impulsively chose her to be my personal reader, so, but it doesn't matter. It did what it was supposed to do. So thank you very much to, well, you're probably not watching this, but thank you. And then it was from there I got very interested in tarot. And you know, when I get interested in something, I feel like I want to do it myself. Even this is an example. I love watching mukbangs, and now I'm doing one. Like when I get interested, I'm like, I want to try it. So I got my first tarot deck. It was the Angel Tarot cards by Radley Valentine, which is a very good beginner deck, by the way, because it has like little sentences explaining what the card means at the bottom. I will say the images are not super intuitive. They don't have the really obvious symbolism of what the card means, but when you're a beginner, you're probably gonna, you know, start thinking about that later. So it's a good beginner deck. I got that, and I think my first oracle deck was Wisdom of the Oracle. Actually, let me get them. Okay, so this is a historical artifact. The Angel Tarot cards. This is my first ever deck. You can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but she's been used quite a bit. The edges are like, they have some wear on them. And then this is my first ever oracle deck. I'm like 90% sure, 95. The Wisdom of the Oracle. Yes. So anyway, I started to gradually increase my collection, and so let's talk about YouTube. Some pickle. That spicy oil is so good. So I actually made my first YouTube channel when I was like 14 or 15, which looking back, I'm like, why was I doing that at that age? But I was studying Japanese at the time. At that point, I think I was kind of at like an intermediate level, and I wanted to practice speaking. I didn't really have, well, actually, no, that's a lie. I did have people to practice speaking with, but I had like friends that I could call, friends in Japan, but there was a big time difference. And anyway, I wanted another way to practice, I guess. And I had seen some videos on YouTube of like, you know, foreigners speaking Japanese, and I was like, oh, maybe I can like do something like that. So I made a channel and I would just like talk about my daily life in Japanese. I was very inconsistent. Like I would post every few months. And as you maybe guessed, a 14-year-old girl just sitting in front of the camera. Most of my viewers were like old creepy men. So that did not that did not last very long. And I just like privated everything. I think the channel is still there, but you can't access the videos. Let me just eat, like, I don't know if I'm gonna regret this, but it's like, I think the garlic has been like roasted or something, so it's like cooked and it's soft and it's fragrant. That's very nice. Yeah, so I got rid of that channel, and when I started getting into tarot many years later, I just had this feeling of like, well, we've done the whole YouTube thing before, like why don't you do a tarot one? And I was like, oh yeah, at some point. So it wasn't really like, it wasn't like a epiphany. It wasn't a very intense feeling of like, oh shit, like yeah, I'm gonna make this tarot channel. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel when I first had that thought like it was gonna be this life-changing thing. It was more like a, oh yeah, I should do that at some point. Like I'll get to it eventually and then just forget about it. Which, thinking about it now, is kind of funny. It's like maybe my higher self or my guides are like, psst, they just gently nudging me. And I didn't listen and they said, okay. And then they gently nudged me again a bit later. And I never actually got to the point where I felt my guides are like screaming at me to do it. It was a very like gentle suggestion, like, hey, remember that tarot channel that we talked about? Are you gonna do that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it at some point. And I guess one day, eventually I was like, okay, I'll do it. So my first video was a yes or no reading. It was very short. I feel like every group was like 5 minutes, because I guess I didn't really have a lot of knowledge yet, so I couldn't look at a card and get all of this information because I only knew like maybe like one thing about each card, you know, like 5 of Pentacles means broke. Like very just like rudimentary, one-dimensional. I couldn't be like, oh yeah, and there's also this interpretation of blah, 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 blah. And when I did the reading 3 months ago, it came out in this way and it's reminiscent of that. Like I didn't really have the experience or the knowledge. So they were like short little readings. And I remember like my like to dislike ratio was not very good. And I would like show up in the video with like chipped nails, and I was a lot more, I don't know, when I look back at the old videos, I'm like, who is this? Like that's not the Kino I know. But you know, it was just, I think everyone feels like that about their old videos. I was like just getting started, just getting a feel for things. And I was growing at a pretty impressive rate now that I think about it. I think I was kind of naive and like, I didn't realize that for a lot of channels, it's very hard to grow, like to even get 1,000 subscribers. So I'm definitely very blessed for the growth that I was able to experience, for the number of people that I was able to reach. And I think it was around like end of 2019, beginning of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, when the channel really like skyrocketed. And the weird thing is that I wasn't posting consistently at all at that time. Because you hear like when people are saying how to be successful on YouTube, they say that you have to post like consistently, like once a week or even every day. Sometimes people give that advice, but I think I was posting like every 3 weeks or like even once a month. I could be wrong. This is just my what do you call it, my feeling. But yeah, somehow I managed to grow significantly. And I think that's when I started, I could be getting this timeline very wrong, but I started offering personal readings, and then the personal reading demands became overwhelming to take one by email. So then I made like a Calendly page and people could schedule their readings, and it was just getting more and more like professional. And then I made a Patreon, and just, it kind of just happened, you know. I didn't ever have that thought of like, this is what I want to do for a living. I just saw 4040. This is what I want to do for a living. I want to be a tarot reader. It was just like a hobby, a thing that I liked, that grew and grew. And I guess I wanted to just ride the wave, and I had no idea like it would take me here. This is like, my channel's almost 4 years old. So yeah, like me 4 years ago having that little nudge of like, hey, maybe you should start a tarot channel. Like, she would have never imagined like where I would be now. And like the support that I would receive, and how much doing this channel, well, not this channel, but you know, doing the channel could teach me. I get to learn so much reading for you guys, and it's a huge privilege to be able to connect with so many people and hear your stories. I think it makes me a more like well-rounded and open-minded person. You share a lot of wisdom with me, and I'm really grateful for everyone who has even watched one of my videos once. It's just insane. It's insane to me. Like, when I think sometimes when we look at the numbers on YouTube, we don't think of them as like actual people that are out there. Like, someone's sitting in their house somewhere on the other side of the world, like listening to what I have to say. That's insane. Yeah. Ooh, getting sentimental, but I'm when I think about it, like when I sit and think about it, I'm in awe of how everything played out, and I'm so grateful that this is my life. And I wonder if it would have been any different if I had that really strong drive in me, like, I want to be a tarot reader, I want to be a tarot reader. Because I wonder if I had that mentality, like, when my channel was slow and when I had the bad like to dislike ratio, that would have like got to me more, right? And maybe it would have discouraged me from continuing. But because I didn't really have expectations, I was like, oh, whatever, and I just kept going. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think not putting too much pressure and not putting too much expectation on ourselves can actually bring more success. Not taking ourselves too seriously can actually bring more success, because when you put that pressure, it's easier to get emotionally swayed or to get discouraged from continuing. Like when you get a negative comment or when things aren't picking up. I feel like I just feel like it was a good thing that I was able to go into it casually. I feel like that's why it worked for me. But that's just me. That's not like a rule of thumb by any means for your journey. Just me thinking out loud about my own, and maybe it, resonates with some of you. But I feel like there was something else that I wanted to say, but I don't remember now. I'm trying to get rid of the strings. The oil is so good. I know I've said that like 8 times. It's so good. So in terms of my soulmates, because that was one of the questions, I do believe very firmly that my immediate family is my soul family. So my mom, my sister, my dad. I haven't done that many past life meditations and things like that, but I have seen my immediate family there and some of my extended family as well. Not in their form that they are now though. Like there was even, I've seen a past life of mine where I'm with my sister and my dad, but we're not human. You know, we're some other kind of being, extraterrestrial being. So I know that they've been around, and I have also had experiences with Madison, ASO. But as I said, it's been very rare for me to meet someone and be like, holy shit, I feel like I know you. I feel like you're someone very important. That has only happened to me twice. One of them was with a musician, and one of them was with Maidenfield, who is also a musician. But like, you guys know who Maidenfield is because, well, maybe you don't, but you know this, you know the song that is at the beginning of my readings. That is a Maidenfield song featuring me as the vocalist. But that instrumental that you hear at the start of my videos, that was made by Maidenfield. And we have collaborated on a few songs together. We actually have a couple more coming this year. When I met him, it felt like that. And I actually said something to him on our second meeting. I was like, do I know you from somewhere before? Because I really feel like I know you. And I couldn't place it, but I just looked at his face and I was like, I know you. Like, I freaking know you. And it was like, it's the weirdest feeling. And he's like, oh, well, you know, I've been on TV before, so maybe you've seen me on TV. And I was like, no, it's not that. Like, it's not just like I've seen you. I just feel like I know you. I feel like we've met before. And the way we met as well, it was like quite synchronicity. Like, we were both at the same party and I didn't really know anyone there, and I was feeling quite uncomfortable. So I snuck off from the main party and I went into a room that had like karaoke. Before I went in, the people inside saw me standing out in the hallway and they called out to me, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling awkward. I don't know anybody here. And they're like, oh, neither do we. Come on in. So I went in there and I sang a song on karaoke, and then I just heard this voice next to me like, that was amazing. And I look over and it's Maidenfield. We started talking and he was saying that he's a producer and he works with a lot of artists, and sometimes he does like support, what do you call it? Like, for example, support keyboards, support drums for when like overseas artists perform in Japan. He was asking me about like who I listened to. The person I mentioned, he had like just worked with them. So I'm like, this is weird. That's weird. They're this band called The Gazette. It's like a Japanese rock band. And I do like rock music, but it's not like my main genre. Especially when I was 12. When I first started listening to them, I was listening to like pop, you know? I was listening to EDM. But for some reason, when little 12-year-old me listened to their music, I got that same feeling of like, I know you. I know you. And actually, that feeling was a big reason that I studied Japanese so seriously and felt that there was something very important about Japan. I can't really explain it, but I would listen and I'd be like, I have to go to Japan. I have to make music. That was like a very intense epiphany. The tarot channel was not really. I think they're both equally important. It's just I experienced it very differently. Like the message to get the tarot channel was more like a gentle nudge, and the message to go to Japan and the message to make music was very strong. Like, I remember the distinct moment when it like dropped into my head. And I believe like finding that band was the catalyst for that, because it put Japan on the map for me, if that makes sense. So then to meet Maidenfield and have the exact same feeling of like, I know you, holy shit. And then for him to say, and I believe it was very recent. He's like, oh yeah, I just worked with them last week. I was like, what the, like, come on now, universe. I knew then, like, okay, I'm supposed to work with this person, you know, like Maidenfield and I were gonna do stuff and do stuff we did. We made a few songs together, like I mentioned. We have more coming, and we developed a really wonderful friendship. Some people think that we're dating, but we are not. We are friends. We are soul family. I've said that to him before, like, you're my soul family. You're one of my soulmates. Another synchronicity that was really cool is I've heard of a lot of people feel drawn to a certain time period in the past or a certain part of the world because they've had a past life there. So I feel like ancient Egypt is one of them that I hear a lot. Like, people feel very drawn to ancient Egypt, or they feel very drawn to a certain era in the past. They feel like they were born in the wrong generation. And I remember never being able to relate to that because, well, I mean, I feel drawn to Japan, but I never felt drawn to a time of the past, you know? I don't know, like ancient Egypt or ancient Greece or not that long ago, but like the 80s. I never felt nostalgia for any time of the past or a familiarity. And rather, I felt drawn to the future. When I would walk around in my life, I feel like I'm in the past. I'm like, oh, it's still very early in time. I feel like I'm in the past. And so I long for the future. I feel like my home is in the future. And so I asked Maidenfield one day, like, what era of time do you feel most drawn to? And he like thought about it for a second, and he's like, I think the future. And that was also a really cool moment for me, that we have the same view of things. I feel like we are soul family. I feel like we're meant to meet each other. And I think what we've done together is just the beginning. I've also met some really lovely people from doing this channel who I believe to be my soul family. Quite a few of my friends that I have now, they found me from my channel and like just sent me an email or sent me a message on Instagram, and we got to talking. And surprising number of people live in Tokyo, which is interesting. Okay, I'm gonna do natto and this oil and rice. Some of my closest friends now, they found me because of my channel, and it's crazy to think that if I hadn't, I don't know what I'm doing right now, if I hadn't made the channel, I might have not met them. I'm very grateful. I met so many cool people. And like I said, I even mentioned earlier, I just recently met one of my subscribers. It was really sweet. It was her birthday, and her partner sent me an email saying like, hey, we're based in Tokyo and it's my girlfriend's birthday, and do you think like we could get a signed card? Anyway, I ended up meeting them. They're very sweet people. And I'm like, it's so lovely that doing this has been able to bring me connections with so many wonderful people. I'm always happy and excited to connect with more of you and meet you when possible. I don't know how many of you are in Japan, but it's always an honor to meet you. I've even collaborated with some people who I met from my channel, and it goes the same way. Like, just send me an email and we get to talking. And so I've like made a song. I've had a visualizer made for one of my songs. It's such an honor. It's so cool to get to meet you and work with you guys and collaborate with you guys. And I feel like I've just found myself in such a wonderful, wonderful community with a lot of members of my soul family or my larger soul tribe in this community. And I'm very grateful that I was able to find you. This has been really nice. I usually eat really fast, but chatting with you helps me to not do that. I ate all the pickles. As for my current partner, when I first met him, I immediately felt comfortable. I immediately felt very fond. And then it was like this warmth that just grew. So it wasn't, I didn't have like butterflies, or I didn't feel very intense. I didn't have that, like, oh my God, I know you. That's very rare for me. But I was just like, oh, I really like this person. Aw. And then it just like naturally grew from there. So, and I mean, I've pulled cards about our connection and stuff before, and he often comes out as the King of Cups, which is very sweet. And I always seem to get positive messages. Having these up on boxes is actually quite nice, because like, if I'm done, I just put it down here and you can't see it. Actually, let me tell you, this is a box. This is a cardboard box. This is a safe, and this is a speaker, because I didn't have anything to put them on. So I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to. I don't know how long this is going to be after editing, but we are over an hour right now. And that's crazy to me, because sitting down like this and just talking, it has felt long. I'm like, yeah, this feels like about an hour. But when I'm filming a reading, an hour does not feel like an hour. It goes by so fast. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. And then I look up and I'm like, holy shit, like it's been 50 minutes. Where did the time go? It's crazy. Because I don't know, you just enter into this like zone. But yeah, time was flowing at an understandable rate today. So I think I'm gonna leave this video here. I'll probably finish this later tonight with some tofu or something. This was the star of the show. This was very good. So thank you very much for joining me today, and especially thank you if you have made it until the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like doing that. And you can also check out my Instagram, Kino Carey. That's like my personal and music Instagram, and my music channel, which I think is just called Kino. I don't even know. Yeah, I think it's just called Kino. These are available at kinotarot.com. I also have this temple on hoodies, sweatshirts, and tote bags. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching, and I wish you all the best. Please take good care of yourself, stay healthy, and I'm sending you guys so much love. And much love to all of your loved ones, both here on Earth and in other realms. Much love to your spirit guides and your whole spiritual team. Oh, and also, because we are just getting started on this channel, and like I said, this channel can really be anything other than a reading, anything where we can connect on a more personal level. Please do feel free to let me know if there's like any type of content you would like to see. And yeah, that is everything. So sending you lots of love. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your support, and I will see you at some point in the near future, either here or on one of my other channels. Bye bye!